important information that you gave, but you're supposed
to newspack.blog. And I'm just going to double check that because me and top level domains don't really mix.
I'm checking it right now.
Okay. And so what Newspack it says is we're seeing a need for inexpensive platform that provides the technology and support that lets news organizations build their businesses and focus on what they do best, providing critical reporting for their communities.
That is the correct URL, by the way, newspack.blog.
I actually, now anytime I have a top level domain that's not a .com, I research the heck out of it. So it is. And the one thing that I thought was interesting there is when they said build their businesses. And there's not a ton of information as to how Newspack is actually going to look, but how I would like to see it look would be to allow people to create content quickly and easily on something they own. So not like a Medium. And that's something that really stuck out to me is, let's build their businesses, not Newspack's businesses. So if you are a small newsroom or if you work in a small newsroom, you can sign up by February 1st. The application is pretty detailed. You need to put in, I think, like 8 different questions. There's this list of criteria for you to work with and to be eligible for Newspack. And you can head over to newspack.blog. And I believe that is the site where the application lives. There's also a link over to WordPress that sent me in this crazy recursive loop, and it kept sending me back to newspack.blog, and then the other one to try to find out more information. So the details are a little light on that, but again, head over to newspack.blog, and that's where you can get the application to sign up for.
It doesn't look that bad. I mean, there's a lot of questions there, but it's pretty. We should.
But if you look at the criteria,
are going to have access to this app, which will give them new features and changes that Twitter wants to test. So I think this is really interesting. It's a really interesting approach that they're not just going to start testing things right on Twitter. They're going to have a separate app for it. The way that they described it, it seemed kind of more like a breeding ground of ideas, where it's things in the early phase that they want to test.
That sounds like you might get some good stuff, but breeding ground sounds just like you might get some bad stuff. I think of breeding ground like germs and bacteria. Like, your cell phone is dirtier than your toilet. It's a breeding ground for death and all that stuff you hear.
Yeah, I mean, those are my words, not Twitter's.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I think actually to your point though, that's pretty legitimate thought that you have, just because they did say that it's going to be ideas kind of in their infancy and things that they want to test and see how the community interacts with them and what they think. And, it's not really like a beta test for something that's almost ready to go live. It's really, start to finish the new features and some of the things that they said they wanted to test. The heart removal, which I think we reported on a while back that they said they wanted to get rid of. Many months ago, they're going to test possibly removing that and other changes to engagement. And
I believe they're removing it from the main view. And then if you click into a tweet, in this beta that they showed TechCrunch, it appeared that you still would have that ability to heart. It just wouldn't be front and center.
Yes, which I think is nice. They did say it kind of cleaned it up visually a little bit, and I agree with that. So cool that it's still there, but something that there was buzz about. They also talked about color-coded replies.
And why on earth do we need color-coded replies? I didn't know that Twitter was as hard to use as it is, because it doesn't seem hard to use to me. And I also was like anti all the things initially, so just that's my caveat. But the ability to say the tweet is from somebody else, like I understand that. I don't need different colors. Personally, like I can kind of follow the pattern.
You can read?
Yeah, I can read and I see who's tweeting to who. The colors look amazingly obnoxious.
I thought you were going to just say amazing.
They're bright green. Ugh. And then they're just, it looks like a bad Christmas ad when you look at it. And again, you can head over to the show notes and find that article on TechCrunch. So I don't think we need the color stuff. I didn't even know that Twitter was this broken. I thought Twitter finally had hit their stride with the actual product itself. Obviously, my thoughts on Twitter ads, and they haven't even started the stride there. But on the product, I think Twitter's great. We don't need color-coded replies.
No, I did think that was pretty ugly. I agree with you on that. It was a little messy, but the community will tell them, right? They're going to test it, and we shall see. They also talked about different ways to sort conversations and other things. I think the app itself and the idea is great, but the ideas that they talked about in this article maybe weren't so great. But I mean, it's pretty neat. We could talk about it all day long and gripe about the fact that they're not doing this with ads, but people know how we feel.
Yep. All right. Next up, speaking of doing something cool with ads, Amazon is enabling dynamic bidding and bid adjustments for sponsored product ads. And this story comes from Ginny at Marketing Land. And Amazon is changing the way that sponsored products ads can be bid. And there's really 3 ways now that you'll be able to bid on sponsored product ads. You'll be able to say dynamic bids down only. And this is, again, allowing you as an advertiser to pay less if Amazon thinks that there's not a great match with the sponsored product that you're out there promoting. You can also say dynamic bids are up and down. So if you choose this option, Amazon can take your bid and move it up if they think it's a really good match based on, the user data that they have and history. And they can bid up to 100% of whatever your bid is, or they could bid it down as well. There is no just up only. It's right now we're at dynamic bids down only and dynamic bids up and down. And then the other one is fixed bids, where you bid whatever you want. The other item coming to sponsored products ads are placement bid adjustments and reporting. In addition to the bidding changes, Amazon is letting advertisers set adjustments for the top of the search page and for product page placements. So you can now you can multiply, and I believe it's up to 900%, depending on if you want to be at the very top for a search or for related products. So obviously, it's a big deal. There was the study last year from Third Door Media that said 1/3 of marketers worldwide said they spent between 10% and 25% of their digital ad budgets on Amazon, and 1 in 10 people said they put anywhere from 25% to 50% of their ad spend on Amazon. Wow. So giving these folks even more tools, this is a big plus for Amazon.
Yeah, and I really like that idea of bidding down only. If you only have so much to spend and you want to maybe, be smarter about that. I love that. I wish Google would do that.
Yes, I was just going to say that. I wish that Google would take their cues from Amazon here. Yeah. And then, of course, we'd see it in Bing, 3 months later. But even with all of this now, I'm still just going to sort by average customer review. So you guys can bid all you want on me. And, that's one of the things where, look, I'm just going after average customer review.
You're a real cowboy, Greg Finn.
I sure am. All right. And that does it for our news for this week. And it brings us to this week's lightning round. Pew, pew, pew. All right. First up this week, there's a tweet from BFF of the show, Glenn Gabe from G Squared Interactive. And he has a tweet that says, looks like a new format on mobile for best of queries when Google provides a found on the web list. Now it's at the top in a vertical list format with the ability to expand. Wow. It can take up the entire viewport. See the before and after. Your number 1 ranking might not be so powerful. Again, you can get to this in the show notes today, but the example that Glenn had shown was Google's search engine results pages for the term best analytics tool. And not surprisingly, there was Google marketing platform first, but it took up the entire SERPs with a listing of all of the tools that Google had surfaced. As Glenn had mentioned, it is showing that best of kind of queries. And the thing that was really poor from a usability experience to me is that when you click on one of these analytics tools, and I was just going off the example that Glenn gave, you then hop in and you get to their own customized search results. So let's say that in this example that Glenn has, you could see, I'll click on the bottom one, Kissmetrics, that Google has labeled a best analytics tool that doesn't even exist anymore. So if you go to kissmetrics.com, you are redirected to neilpatel.com. No idea who did that.
R.I.P.
But so if you click on that, you get to a whole new list of search results around Kissmetrics. And it's like, here's top 10 analytics tools. And then you have to go in there and kind of find where Kissmetrics was located. So to me, this is super clunky. It is not a good experience. And again, this Googleification of these results we're trying to, Google's trying really hard to make it easy. In a lot of cases, they're missing, and this is like front and foremost.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that they're telling me what the best stuff is. Like, give me some actual articles and some people. I don't want you to tell me that your product is the best. I just don't. And you know what? If I keep getting that, I'm going to stop using Google.
Yeah. Well, their product's not the best, right? Because you just said it's an awful experience. And you're being nice. This is useless. If you can't even click on the things that it's showing you, what is the point?
The point is to go get some more search results and go find out for yourself.
I could just scroll to page 2. Click through to the next page of result, whatever.
And I was doing it live as well. And I think it could be problematic. I was doing some other analytics tool searches, and not only did Google's marketing platform come up first, Google Analytics, or no, sorry, not Google Analytics. That would actually be a good match. Google Ads came up before something like the Adobe Marketing Cloud.
Wow.
And it's like, you're making these calls now? That doesn't seem like it's a great outcome for the user.
Seems fishy. Seems like they're up to something at Google. I don't know. Bing's up to something, though. The Bing Partner Program released a article, I don't know, new beginnings in the new year. There are some changes coming to the Bing Partners Program. You can check the link in the show notes for all the full details, but just some things to talk about here. They're going off of the calendar year now. So woohoo! They said they wanted to align better with the way that businesses operate, or just the world, because we all use the calendar year, I think, for measuring years, usually.
I don't. I only use the constellations. I look at the stars.
Oh, Ursa Major?
Yeah, and
what
minor.
month does that make it?
October.
Perfect. It's January, so you better check your system. They're also offering ways for partners to connect with each other in a more of a community-based setting, and they also said that they're going to do an annual webcast with case studies, key learnings, things to look for in the coming year, and that would be available, again, just to people in the Partners Program.
Okay, and we've got the link in the show notes, but good luck to anybody that's trying to find any of this information out. The Bing Partners site and blog is like an M.C. Escher painting, where you just, you don't know that one?
No.
It's like the stairs that all connect.
I love
you're
those.
All like, what is this?
Yeah.
That's Bing Partner. That's their site. Yeah.
They're beautiful then, but yeah, you can't get anywhere.
We can't do anything. So we'll try to highlight some of those links in there. Another thing just to note on that news is that if you are going to try to be a select or elite tier of Bing Partner status, you can only do so until March 31st. So along with these announcements of this calendar year, not the celestial calendar year. So forget Castor and Pollux and all that. It's on 2019 through March 31st. You have to put that application in if you want to be select or elite status with Bing Partners. And then there is a sweepstakes as well. And the grand prize is a trip for 2 individuals of a winning agency to go to the Bing Partner Summit in May 2019 at Microsoft headquarters. So should be some pretty spicy stuff.
Seems like a good time.
Yeah, I love it. All right, next up, Instagram is caught selling ads to follower buying services that it banned. And this article comes from TechCrunch, where Josh over there did a big deep dive on basically got so annoyed that Instagram kept trying to sell them Instagram followers that it just kind of outed all these companies, a lot of goofy company names like Graham Gorilla and Macurex. That sounds like that weird fungus commercial where that weird little thing rips the toe off and like the fungus. You never seen that one?
No, I have. I was
Doesn't
thinking
that sound
Mucinex, but you're talking about the Lamisil.
I don't know. But yeah,
it sounds like medicine.
No, it's Macurex. But anyway, so these companies were selling Instagram followers and then being eligible to advertise on Instagram. TechCrunch outed these companies, and they are no longer advertising on Instagram, and that's it.
That is as disgusting as foot fungus. I mean, really, it's awful. Bad Instagram. And bad Facebook, too. A new study from Pew Research Center found that, and I quote, about half of Facebook users say they are not comfortable when they see how the platform categorizes them, and 27% maintain the site's classifications do not accurately represent them. So there's more to this article. There's a lot they did a whole study on different things that Facebook knows about you and how people feel about that. So it's a good read. You should look into it. But when I first read this, especially that opening quote, I just thought to myself, people are being whiny. They don't want to be called out for what they are because they're behaving a certain way on the internet. Boo-hoo, get over it. But then I thought, let me just look at what Facebook thinks about me. And some of it made sense. They had a couple animal things in my interest and also search engine marketing. I was like, oh, I do that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But the very first thing on my list was law school admission test.
Jess, is there something you need to tell me?
No, I'm so not going to leave and go be a lawyer. I don't know that. I was just like, what?
I liked it. I think it's a sign. It's an omen. We need to have Bud and Bud Esquire Incorporated.
Ooh.
Or Bud and Sons.
Bud and Sons.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a lot of sons.
You know, that's
more
legit. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I become a lawyer, I could drive a Mercedes because apparently I'm interested in that as well. And also construction and tax deduction. These were listed as my interests. So I don't know. People, I understand why people are upset. But it's funny and all. But as an advertiser who's spending money on Facebook, I'm a little bit worried because we think we have these great targeting options. And like if someone's trying to sell LSAT, like prep tests, they're wasting money on me. I'm going to get that ad because I'm interested in law school admission tests.
So you're the one eating up all my monocle budget. Okay, I see what's happening.
It's wild. Here. I don't know. It's actually really interesting stuff.
And if somebody wanted to see their interests, how would they go about that?
I couldn't find it on my own, actually. They make it a little bit difficult, and I don't even know if you could do it on the Facebook app. I think you might have to do it on your desktop. Don't quote me on that. But in the article, which we have linked to in the show notes, there is a link in there, and it takes you right to your preferences.
Great. Next up in the news, Google's search liaison, Danny Sullivan, has some tips for Google News. There are the usual tips, like don't have scraped content, don't have duplicate content, make sure that you have specific dates. There's also a link over to the Google News initiative with all the details that you need to adhere to. But the one thing that I really like from this, that I see all the time, and we see all the time, and we tell people not to, and we just can't get them away from this practice, is to avoid artificially freshening stories. Hey guys, taking your 2018 top 10 list and just switching it to a 19, don't do that.
No.
And again, whenever you see something like this, it's great just to send it over to clients or whomever that might be those really stubborn folks that just think every time it's a calendar year, they're flipping to January and flipping to the next year with their content creation as well.
Yeah, and don't do it by the celestial year either. Or
no,
calendar.
Absolutely not
whatever.
That. Yes. It is the year of Leo the Lion. Okay.
Aw. Okay, next up we have a mini segment we're calling Fresh from the Inbox. Fresh. So this is fresh from Greg Finn's inbox and hopefully many of yours as well. Optimize is getting a new streamlined look. So if you're using Google Optimize, hopefully you also got this email. But if you didn't, just a couple of things of note. New code installation. If you're setting up Optimize, there's just one snippet now. They've added a super easy, even easier way to link up Optimize with your GA account. And they've also added a visual step-by-step guide for getting things set up. So if you're using Optimize, you probably saw this. But if you're not, I mean, now's the time to set up. Life ain't never been easier.
Yep. And I ran through it. It just looks cleaner. I didn't notice anything huge. If there is anything huge, we'll report back to you next week.
Fresh from the inbox.
And next up is an article from Google called An Update on the Google Webmaster Central blog comments. And spoiler alert coming. If you haven't read this article yet, big spoiler alert, they're killing off the comments. And I think this is a good example where many folks have killed off the comments. I know over at Third Door Media, Search Engine Land, Marketing Land, all comments are gone. Trying to keep up on comments is it's a painstaking task, and Google can't even do it. So, that's something that is becoming more and more acceptable. I personally like the comments. Some things like Facebook comments can help you be real humans to do it. And I do think there is some engagement on there that makes sense. But Google's killing off comments. And just one minor gripe with this. How about you change the title of the article instead of an update to the Google Webmaster Central blog comments to saying, we're removing the Google Webmaster Central blog comments. Save us a click. Come on, Google.
Don't you want to click through and read the whole statement about it? It's probably way too many words for what they needed to accomplish.
Just tell me it's gone. Save me a click. Come on.
Bye. Well, they're gone. You heard it here first, folks.
All right. And then if you had your ears plugged, the spoiler is over.
Yeah, so come back to us because we're going to talk about something new. Free Dive, Amazon's free video on demand service. It's Amazon and IMDb, I believe, but it's basically a free service. You can watch popular movies and TV shows for free. There's no paid subscription required. You can do this on IMDb itself and on all Fire TV devices, so it's pretty cool. But if it's free, obviously that means it's supported by something, ads, which is great. It could be a huge opportunity for us digital marketing folks.
And I like the fact that it's on Amazon. You know, like Amazon has so many devices and is like the leader in all that. So that's pretty cool. What I don't like is the name, Free Dive.
Yeah.
Do you know what free diving is?
You jump off a cliff, right?
No.
Oh.
Or maybe. I didn't think so. I think it's when you are on a boat, hop off the boat, you're in the water, and then you go to as far down as you can with no breathing apparatus.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
It does. And hopefully the service isn't nearly that terrifying. But here in the office, we have running jokes because our fantastic audio engineer here, Hope, thinks that everything is a sport. She thinks a Westminster dog show is a sport. She thinks darts are a sport. I don't know if we ever got her take on the spelling bee, but I bet she thinks that's a sport. So Hope, let's have a new segment here called Hope on the Street. And we're going to Hope here. And is free diving a sport?
I need more information.
Needs more information.
Like, is there a national free diving competition?
There is a competition. There is a world record.
Then it's a sport.
It's a sport. You heard it here first, folks.
Because there's a world record. There's a world record for like number of paper clips swallowed.
Jess, she said that competitive eating was a sport.
It is, no?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. All right, on to more news here. So Bing has an article called Easily Managed Dynamic Search Ad Campaigns with Page Feeds. If you are one of the few folks that are using dynamic search ads or DSAs, you now can use a page feed. Again, people that should be using DSAs are if you have to try to get new products promoted quickly, or if you've got custom labels and you want to try to group products. 99% of people shouldn't be using DSAs.
More like 99.999999999.
Yes. And there was also a really funny thing about the time frame that it was going to be picked up on from Bing. So this is a really rare one. But if you're using DSAs, there's some cool new features for you.
All right. Next up, YouTube released an announcement titled Strengthening Enforcement of Our Community Guidelines. Pretty self-explanatory. If you want to read the whole thing, the link's in the show notes, but they're going to be strengthening their enforcement of community guidelines. So that's actually a good headline for you. We saved you a click.
I love that. Great job, YouTube. Hey, Google Webmaster Blog, take some cues there. All right, next up, bringing more transparency to political ads in 2019. And that is the headline from Facebook. And what Facebook is doing is making a new political ad library and repository for India, for the EU. And then they're taking this and it's going to be everything is going to be global in June. And one other note, the EU library the transparency tools, I think is what they're called in the EU, is going to be out before those May elections. So you'll be able to see who is behind each one of those sneaky ads. And then last up, I just put this one in here because earlier we talked about the Newspack, and Basecamp's site or blog or just news repository, Signal versus Noise, is moving off of Medium. And they said that when we moved over to Medium, it was all about attracting big blogs and other publishers. This is going to be a new space for a new time where publishers could find a home. And it was for a while. And it brings me back to the main point of Newspack. Anything you see that's new and shiny, make sure you control it. The problem with Medium, everybody moved off of Medium. Ringer moved off of Medium. Signal versus Noise. People, if you can't control what you're doing, it's going to be a problem. And you're going to be handcuffed in same with your group that you've got on Facebook groups that you're never going to be able to pull off. Maybe think about investing in a forum. And anytime you build a fantastic property, but you do it on something that's not your land, you're in trouble. And so that's just my little word of caution for whatever Newspack is going to be. Might be good, might not be. But if you're beholden to others, it's going to be a problem at some point.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because you griped a lot about that in 2018, I feel.
I griped about it in 2015.
Yes, true.
Is it 2015? I feel like at one point it went from 2015 to like 2015.
2015 sounds dumb.
Yeah, I feel like nobody said 2015. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, that brings us to this week's WTH.
W
T.
H.
All right. And this week's WTH comes from Marketing Land and Kirk Williams, who has a post called Opinion. Google Partners Program incentives should include actual client goals. And Kirk did a great job showing that many of the rewards that you can get popcorn machines and Google bicycles and Google Home Maxes and things like that. But the incentivization is about adding some different automations, whether it be display or search or audience based. And it's not necessarily about trying to improve your client goals. And so this was just something that's super timely to me. You know, like, hey, let's check what we're trying to do here. Are we trying to force our new technology down people's throats? Or are we going to say instead, let's include client goals? So this was great. Another thing, if I have a little piece here, I'll say, Opinion, Google Partners, take a look at yourself. That's just a little article I just wrote right now. And the problem is the partner program is a joke. You can't even search to see who is a real partner anymore. They took that away in 2018, as we reported. And the partner program now is just trying to make you use all the new technology that they put out. And many times that technology isn't going to be a win for their clients. So I'm with you, Kirk. And also here first, make the partner program something that is useful for people looking for a partner.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah. And all for the sake of swag too, though, right? You're going to do all of this cool automation stuff that doesn't necessarily help anybody, but you can get a popcorn machine for it. I mean, I want a popcorn. I love swag and sweepstakes. So Google and Bing are on my happy list. They're giving away a lot of things this week. But yeah, I mean, to your point, in all seriousness.
Okay, we'll have a meeting after this, and we'll start doing more automation on display then. And we'll have a popcorn machine here in our office.
No, because we probably won't have an office anymore because our
Yeah,
clients,
'cause our clients are
leave
going
us.
to leave. Okay. And that brings us to this week's cool tool.
Cool tool.
All right. This week I had one cool tool slated and then I just axed it because I couldn't do it. It's from Salesforce and it's called the Lightning Platform Mobile, where you can now make in-depth mobile apps without developers. But that's just a bad idea. That's a terrible idea. I think it's like $25 a month. You can go start making substantial mobile apps.
I'm going to do it.
Okay, you can go do it, but we are not advocating that as a cool tool. Instead, this week, we are going over to Ben Mross's Speed Demon. And this is actually an article you can find on Medium. Again, that's never probably going to transfer anywhere other than Medium, just a side note. But it is called Speed Demon, and it is a really simple tool that uses Google Sheets, and it has an app script that runs everything. And what you can do is you can choose a set of URLs, and then you can also input a list of emails of people, and you can have different thresholds to say, if my site is slower than this, please email these folks that, you know, once that threshold is hit. And the email will go out to all these people. And my favorite thing, it records everything in that Google Sheet. So you can go back in time and say, oh, here is how fast I was in January, you know, this week, and it gives you that benchmark. And it's just a very, very simple tool that is absolutely free. You just have to go to the site that's in our show notes and get an API key, and you can start tracking all of your speed and alerting whomever might need it and keep it for eternity.
That is actually really cool. That's way cooler than random mobile apps.
Yes.
Which I'm not going to make, by the way.
Mobile
I'm not spending
apps?
$25 on that.
Mobile apps without developers.
It's a brave new world.
Good luck. All right. And that brings us to our must-read marketing article of the week, an article too in-depth, too detailed to cover fully on the show here today. This week's article comes from Joshua Hardwick. Related to Chris? I don't know. Who knows? But the article is called How to Do a Content Audit and Boost Your Organic Traffic, Template Included. And the article is on Ahrefs, and they took a look at their site content and had reduced the content by 31.7%. And instead of seeing a drop in search traffic, they saw an increase by 7%. And in the article, it's really detailed. There's a flow chart. Obviously, there's a downloadable template. It is very in-depth, very detailed. There's videos, and there is just a slew of information that you can check out over at Ahrefs. So thank you, Joshua.
And that does it for today's show.
It is now officially not Marketing O'Clock.
Remember, you can catch everything from our show today on marketingoclock.com. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode coming up.
And we will see you next week.